She's a few years off of her prime of when she was at her peak with her songs. And I mean, there was one point where there was like 5 Lady Gaga songs on the radio. So she's kind of removed from that right now. She's not as big as she was, I wouldn't say. She's still a huge mega pop star. So the questions of like, well, is she going to sing? How's she going to look? Is she going to be like she was? Or is she going to be... I mean, it's the same woman that wore like a meat dress to an award show. So then that's the next question mark. Is she going to be crazy? Or is she going to be kind of dialed back? We've seen that. We've seen the dialed back version recently. We've seen where she kind of strips it down, maybe gets acoustic with it, maybe just sings. She's been doing more of that than what she did at the beginning of her career. And that's evolution. That's any star has to do that. So that was a question. Next question, of course, will it be political? Will there be a message? Will there be something for the protesters to stand up and say, yes? No, I don't want any more bean dip. I'm watching Gaga make a stand. Would it get political? And I didn't think it would. Before the game, I said, this is probably the biggest moment in her career. Performing at the Super Bowl in front of 170 million people. It's like the 5th largest audience ever. No, I don't think that she's going to take that moment, her moment, and she's going to say something about Donald Trump. I don't think that's going to happen. I would not do that. No one would do that. This is a person who's worked their ass off, singing in bars with 20 people in it, got a shot, got a deal, got famous, performed in sold-out crowds, performed at Madison Square Garden, wherever, been on award shows, been in the limelight. But now this is the Super Bowl. There's only been 51 Super Bowls. And there's only been, 20 halftime shows? 35 halftime shows? I don't know when they started the halftime shows, but it couldn't have been too long ago. I know they weren't doing one to Super Bowl III. So let's just say there's been 35 halftime shows. You're talking about joining people like Michael Jackson, the Rolling Stones, Prince. This is a huge deal. And to ask somebody like Lady Gaga to put that aside and to make it a political statement is incredibly unfair. And I did not think that she would make a statement. And she did make a statement. I don't think it was political at all. And yeah, people will say, oh, she's saying God bless America. She did this. It wasn't political. It wasn't political in the sense of how everyone wanted it to be. How everyone wanted it to be this huge statement, against Trump or whatever, but it wasn't. And the people that are trying to make it political, they sound like the people on like Reddit who are trying to make the 9/11 conspiracy theory still happen. I've seen stuff where it's like, well, Gaga was wearing white, which symbolizes a lamb, and a lamb was in this novella by this Spanish author, and then she rappelled down from the ceiling, which shows a reverse glass ceiling breaking, which is a Hillary signal, and then because she was in Houston, that signals the wall because she was wearing high heels, and it's like it's this crazy conspiracy thing, and it's sad. Those people, what are you reaching for? You watched the same performance I did. There was nothing. There was no hidden messages. There was no hidden symbols. It's the same thing as the Beyonce thing. How people made a huge deal about her whole performance and nitpicked every single part and decided for themselves what was political, what wasn't political, what was a message, what wasn't a message. Maybe it was just a performance. Maybe Gaga just said, this is the peak of my career. This is what I've been working for. This is for me. This is for my family. This is for my mom, my dad, for anyone that ever believed in me. This is for them. Maybe she just said that. And maybe she went out there and performed her ass off, which she did. It was an incredible performance. Probably the most athletic, but she was all over the place. I mean, she was rappelling, catching footballs, doing flips, jumping off stages, climbing up stairs, playing the piano, playing the guitar, dancing, high heels. It was all over the place. She must be in some incredible shape, cardiovascularly, to do that. I couldn't have done that. No way. I couldn't do that right now. Wouldn't even come close. I'd be gassed. So the people, you got to understand, celebrities, all these role models that people want to speak for them and they want so bad. Queen. They want so bad for, Queen Gaga or Queen whoever or Slay. They want so bad for that person to believe what they believe in, to validate what their beliefs are. There was probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of the same protesters who were begging Gaga to say something just so they could look around the room at the Super Bowl party and say, see, I told you. See, I told you. I've got to be right because Lady Gaga's on my side. Look at you, in your party, at your Super Bowl party, we still are right. That's what they wanted more than anything. And that's so incredibly selfish that they want to use Lady Gaga or use whoever. It doesn't have to be Gaga. They want to use whoever in that moment, steal that shine just to validate whatever beliefs they have. It's not her job. It's not her job to do that. She isn't a voice box for you. Who are you? She has her own life. She has her own desires. You don't know what she's been through. Just like with Tom Brady last night winning. People talk about him winning for the ban, the Deflategate, the suspension. You know what that man won for? His mom, who's battling cancer. Don't make it something it's not. I'm sure screw Roger Goodell. That narrative, that's an awesome narrative. But I guarantee you, Roger Goodell was way, way, way down the list of people that Tom Brady was playing for. And I guarantee you his mom was number one on that list. These celebrities, these athletes, they're just people. They're just people. If I was in a position where I was on, the biggest moment of my career with 170 million people, the absolute peak of what I wanted to do, I wouldn't be thinking about if I believe in the pipeline. I wouldn't be sitting there thinking, do I believe in the wall? I'd be sitting there thinking about the people who raised me, the people who was supporting me, the people who were there with me when I was fighting. Imagine Gaga playing in those bars, and you always hear the stories of how she was coming up and she was playing in these little dingy bars. And the fact that she was sitting there in front of 73,000 people in attendance and then 170 million watching at home, that's a very overwhelming thing. And to think that the person could turn that into a political statement is just outrageous. There's a reason that political statements are made by 70-year-old people winning their 15th Oscar, or who's been on that stage for 20 years, because they can risk it. They can miss one. They don't have to relish in this one. They've been there for 20 straight years. What's one? Yeah, I'll make a statement at this one. They were getting a little boring anyways.